Unicorn. Unicorn.
Hello and welcome to Ask a Unicorn. I'm your host, Ciara O'Mara, and this is brought to you by the Unicorn Union. In this podcast, I'll ask creatives that are mothers about how they balance their creativity with work and family. What fuels it? What tips, hacks and advice they have for fellow parents that might help. So why unicorns? 85% of purchase decisions are made by women, yet currently only 30% of advertising creatives are female. 13% of them are creative directors, and less than 1% of creative agencies are owned by women. To date, there is no current statistic for what percentage of those women are mothers, but we do exist. That's why on my second maternity leave, I founded a group called the Unicorn Union, which has over 250 and counting fellow advertising creatives that are mothers. In this series, I will interview each and every one of them. Join me in hearing their magic. Hello, everyone. So this week, I'm interviewing the fantastic Hannah Talbut. She is a senior creative at VCCP, and currently we work together so this is even more exciting. A little bit about Hannah. She's part of a creative team with the wonderful Joanna Boyle, or Jo Boyle as we call her. Hannah began her career over 12 years ago in digital agencies before bringing that experience above the line to make fully thought through campaigns for the brands like Very, Tyrrell's and Ocado. Over the years, her work has taken on some brilliant adventures, putting a car on the moon, saving Kiwi in New Zealand, and even getting David Beckham into bed. I do know about that one. And now at VCP Blue, she works on iconic brands like Muller, Temper, and Eau del Paso. And Hannah has two children, Bonnie, age 5, and Dylan, age 1, and has been back from mat leave for just 2 months, as we're currently speaking. So welcome, Hannah.
Hi, good to be here. Thanks for having me.
I wanted to kind of start off by asking one thing that I think a lot of people don't realize how hard it is as a parent, especially mother, to get to anything. So what did you have to do to get here for our chat this evening?
God, yeah, I think that's a really good point because as you know, I already messaged you and was like, I'm going to be late. Even though we've pushed this to quite late in the evening, so bedtime's out of the way, things go wrong. Yeah. My mum had the kids. I left work bang on time, ran home, working on the train, ate dinner really quickly, dropped my mum at the station, came back, put them to bed, trying to wrestle children into bed whilst also looking for remnants of a fairy costume for book day tomorrow. Put some lipstick on so I look like I've got myself together. Took the mum bun out. Here I am. But
you look fabulous. The lipstick is a perfect shade. Unicorn is quite an interesting name. I've kind of explained it in the intro bit for the listeners. But I thought we might imagine what would your unicorn name be if you had one. So a little bit of fun. But how about we use a bit of AI to ask AI? Why not in the current times? If we put in your name, maybe some things you like, and what would your unicorn name be? And then we can christen you.
That's fun. I like that.
Okay, so what would a unicorn called Hannah?
What do I like? I love my children. I love going to festivals, music, food,
music,
paella. And twerking, dancing, letting loose.
Oh, brilliant. That's a great one.
The twerkacorn.
Yeah. Let's see what comes back.
Sparkly jingle.
Well, there's a few options. So you get to pick which one you want to be christened as. So there is Hanita, the twerka tapas, sparkle hoof, or glitter glute gazpacho, or the techno paella ponytail.
I think I'm Hanitas.
Yes, I like it.
I like this. Yeah.
The twerka tapas.
Yeah.
There we go. Hanita, you've been christened. So yeah, first off, Hannah, tell us a bit about your family. Do you have a partner? Tell us a little bit more about your structure.
So yeah, I have a husband called James, and we are childhood sweethearts that have grown up together and then had a child of our own, which is sweet. But yeah, we've seen each other grow up and become different people and sharing this adventure together. 2 children, Bonnie, 5 years old, and Dylan, who's 1, but actually 1 can mean so many things. So I guess he's like 14 months, nearly 15 months. So yeah, just starting to walk and starting to talk. And it's really lovely, like seeing them interact with each other.
Yeah, they're gorgeous, gorgeous. They're absolutely doty. So it's a little bit about your career before your children, actually, and yeah, why you picked advertising.
So I think most people say this, but kind of fell into advertising, didn't know it was a thing. When I was at school, I really loved like acting and performing, and like, so I thought I'm going to be an actress. And then I started doing things like trying to get into the National Youth Theatre and hoping that I would somehow raise enough money to go to a theatre school, and thought, like, this isn't actually a viable thing to try and pursue. So what else do I like doing? I basically thought, I'd like to be able to point at a billboard and say, that's my idea. I did that, but I didn't know what that was. The people at school said graphic design. So I didn't go to sixth form like all of my other friends. I went and did a BTEC in graphic design, and kind of my friends all thought I was a bit weird for doing so, because you've always been told that A levels are the way to go. But I was like, no, I know I want to do this. Like I want to just apply myself to this one thing. So I sort of went against the trend there, and then I was looking at unis and looking at graphic design courses, and like went and looked at Reading and like UCA and all these different places. And then the Bucks University graphics course, like on the website for Bucks, it said, just turn up. We love to welcome people and show them around. Just turn up. So me and my dad went on this crazy road trip where the traffic was awful. I remember at one point we'd gone 3 miles in like 3 hours or something. It took forever to get there. But we went there, and then there was no one to show us around. They were like, no one's ever just turned up before. So they just sort of phoned up the graphic design department, and this lady answered, and she was Julie Wright, who ran the advertising course. So she was like, I don't do graphics, but I'll talk to you about advertising and graphics. And she was so interesting. Yeah, full of cool stories, like telling us all about the different people that had done the course, like Noel Fielding had done the course. And I love the way that she described it more about the ideas and thinking laterally, and coming up with problem solving and in different ways, and just approaching problems in unique and funny ways. And I was like, kind of feels a bit like a drama school. I like this. And then, went there. Didn't do graphics. I was like, this is where I'm going, and sort of applied myself and did that. Met Joe there. So we've been working together since second year of uni. And then when it came to graduating, we were like, we really want a job, and everyone here and every other university is going to be trying to get into like the big name places where you can make TV ads and stuff. So we decided to just go digital. And then, we went to Profero and met Ben Clapp, and he saw us in like the Easter and was like, I really like you guys. Basically said, come back when you finish. And we did the grad acad at New Blood, and then we went straight to Profero, and sort of it started there, doing like banner ads and like ideas for M&S social campaigns that based on like what Y&R were doing for Christmas. We would have to adapt that and do something online. So yeah.
I mean, you were kind of ahead of the times, right? Because we're all trying to do social and everything now. It's a really good way to start in. But I love that you put to the test of like, just turn up to the university, and then it's not like, I've turned up and no one's here. That woman being there and, going with it, like that totally, changed your course. That's amazing, isn't it? On from that, before you had Bonnie, did you think it was going to alter your career anyway? And why, really, actually? If you did think, you don't have to say you did, but like...
Oh, yeah, no, I definitely do. I think this is like a really important question, to be honest, because I think from like not having kids, and I think things like the Unicorn Group have really showed that it's like there are people out there doing this. Genuinely thought, I have kids and they probably won't want me back, and that will be it. And Joe even did a dissertation at uni about why there's so few women in advertising, and a lot of what came out of that was, women have children, and especially before COVID, like make the balance work, and were sort of getting pushed out, and also just like the level of intensity that takes, and trying to manage that with having children. That's why they seemed at the time to be not present at higher levels. And so having that knowledge, and then also having somebody who was very high up and in charge of my career openly say, mums don't make good leaders, mums aren't driven, they don't care about their career as much. It sort of just perpetuated to me that like it's over after that. And the fact that things like pregnant and screwed exist, and you know, all these things to support mums because they get discriminated against, kind of made me think, oh, this is going to be quite worrying. In fact, I even spoke to NABS about how could I protect myself from being discriminated against once I tell my work I'm pregnant, because I was just scared. But actually, I was really pleasantly surprised with it all. And I think it was all just in my head, because I think people maybe say throwaway things that they don't really mean.
Yeah. It's interesting though, like you say, there's a lot of things that, yeah, like pregnant not screwed, there's some maybe societal things that tell you that it's going to be a bad thing. So it kind of sets you up to think it, isn't it? That's interesting how
Yeah.
those things go into your ether and then they impact that. Yeah. So obviously, even with all that, obviously you went went ahead, which is fantastic, and had two beautiful children. So how did you find those maternity leave, or like eat a little bit about each one actually, because I think they're very different, each of them. So
Yeah.
yeah.
For sure, they're different. Like Bonnie was born 2020, which we all know was quite a significant time. I got sent home from, I think like in March I'd told them I was pregnant or something like that. I'm trying to think, because I was due in August. I wasn't very far along, and the first people that sort of got told not to be going out into public were like immunocompromised and pregnant people. So we were working on a pitch and I got told, don't come in tomorrow, basically come back when you've had the baby. And I was like, that's really sad. I thought we'd all be, you know, enjoying this together, and talking about random people touching my bump on the train. I know it's not stuff you really want, but it's kind of like a rite of passage. And it was just really lonely, because then like everything about it, like shopping for a pram, we were like, oh God, we've got to buy a pram before all the borders shut down and we can't get things to, like, we thought it basically impacted like every decision we made, and doing things like NCT on Zoom. So it was really difficult to like maintain those relationships. And then I remember feeling like, oh God, what have I done? Like crying. And I think people aren't very candid about that, but I think it's really important. I love Bonnie, I adore her, but your hormones are racing and it feels so strange. And she wasn't very, she was always unhappy. She had tongue tie, she was crying, she was up all the time crying. And it just, I felt like I'm not enjoying this, and I've brought someone into the world and what have I done? So especially being in lockdown, that felt really hard, because I was like, I'm the only one that feels like this. So I would walk 10 miles a day because it was the only way to make her sleep. So I would like walk in the morning, come home, eat, walk again, just on my own. I learned like every road in Brentwood at the time. Was nuts. But then as soon as like the March 2021 came round and we were out of that, it was meeting with other mums that really helped. Like I had my support network of like my mother-in-law, and she was amazing, and it's made her and my daughter have like a really strong bond, and she was like immensely helpful. But having other mums that are feeling what I was feeling, and talking in person rather than on WhatsApp, and just having a picnic in the park, like changed everything. Now I feel like whenever I see someone become a mum for the first time, I make a real point of like reaching out to them and being like, it's okay not to love it all the time, and like I really hope you're okay, and if you ever want to chat, like I'm here, I struggled, and it's okay. Because everything changes. And then I was really worried with Dylan, like this time round I was really scared that it was going to happen again, that I was going to go to this really dark place. And I just remember how I felt, and I was really scared. But actually, I think because I knew what I could feel like, I felt better. And I could also recognise that this feeling passes, and it's normal to feel these really scary, intrusive thoughts. Like everyone goes through this. And actually, again, having support of other mums, like it just so happened that 3 mums in Bonnie's year all had children within a few months of me. So we basically made our own mini NCT. And having a child at school when you've got a second one just means the days go so much faster. Like, you can't really do much. After the nap, it's time to go again. So yeah, it went a million miles an hour. Felt like I wasn't gone for very long.
What you were talking about, the fact of, yeah, just being honest and authentic about what you're going through, because it's a roller coaster. And I think if anything, you know, especially when you relate to moms who are honest about that, because you know, nobody wants somebody going like, "Oh, it's so fantastic," and then you're like, "Okay, I feel like an ultimate failure." And people need to talk about it more.
Yeah.
We're all just trying to survive, isn't it? And it's really interesting because I think like difference between like a first mat leave and a second mat leave, because you take this baby home and it's the most precious thing ever, and there's no manual, you
Yeah.
know, thing, and yet that's the second time you do actually know what to expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
'Cause I
very
think
hard.
with the first one, you just want to do a good job. Yeah.
Exactly. There's no medals, is there? There's no, like, special prize in the day for doing it a certain way. Yeah, so, I mean, 2 very different maternity leaves. What was your biggest fear and biggest excitement about going back to work? Because I think that's, you know, people talk about nearly the fear of going back to work. What was your biggest excitement as well?
I think the fear was, one, could I still do it? And I guess before I came back, would I still be driven? Would I still be able to do it? Would they just write me off? But actually, they were really supportive, and it was really nice to come back. And yeah, having Joe, we we made a marriage vow to each other. Before I came back, we basically renewed our vows, and we were like, here's what I'm going to need from this partnership going forward. Yeah, shared each other's and sort of agreed ground rules for the relationship going forward. And it meant that we came back stronger. And that was really nice. So ultimately, what I was worried about became the excitement, because nothing would compare to this, really. This is so fun.
But that's a really lovely thing, though, what you said about, you know, you and Joe and delving into that more and the creative team, that's a lovely thing that you made some vows to each other. So, you know, asking her for what you need, and that now things have kind of changed a bit.
Yeah.
And did you find that okay the first time you did that, and did you do that again the second time, or was it just a bit like, oh, we've been through this before?
We haven't done it again, although we have said we should do that again, but things are going well. But I
Mm,
think Joe's really good at reminding me that I need to stop apologizing all the time. Even before children are involved, I've always been an apologizer. But she's like, you can't change leaving and going and doing this, and actually saying sorry. I feel guilty because you feel guilty, and I was like, yeah, you're so right. And also, she reminded me, you're showing other people that this is okay. So really, you shouldn't be saying sorry at all. You're setting a brilliant example. So that was really good. So yeah, we're doing great. We did say before that we would do it again, but life's just moved so quickly.
that's just great to like hear how it's going. The little bit that I really wanted to find out more about, which I think a lot of people don't really talk about, is the practicalities behind that. Nobody really tells you it does really take a village to raise a family. And I suppose not everyone has their family around them. Some people do. But yeah, I wanted to find out, what do you think is like the superpower that enables you to be at work each day? So what do you think that superpower behind all that is?
I think it's not necessarily a superpower that's just mine, but
Mm.
I think the mum unicorn ability to like juggle and like switch on and switch off different parts of your brain. Like, yeah, there's the whole juggle of childcare, but then you've also got to juggle in like meetings and the different briefs. Like last night, I was up 4 times because Bonnie came into our bed twice, but then I took her back to her bed and fell asleep in there, and then went back to my bed. And
Oh
each
gosh.
time I put my head on the pillow, I was dreaming about how are we going to set up this idea on this? How are we going to sort of explain this thing that we want to sell? And your brain doesn't switch off. So being able to juggle and compartmentalize and like deal with the problems as they come to you, I think is an amazing superpower. And I've got an incredible support network around, because we moved back to Essex to be near family, and we knew that we needed help, and luckily they offered help, and it's honestly changed our lives. That we couldn't do working and having childcare without the support we have. But being able to sort of juggle and be like, okay, please can you do this for them? Please can you be here for them? And you're still planning even when somebody else has your children. I think that's a real superpower in itself.
You were saying you got a lot of help from family. So do you want we can elaborate on that and then about like costs of that? Because I think that would be helpful to listeners about, knowing how much it costs and then knowing how much your salary and you need to be on and fighting for.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, we wouldn't be able to do the juggle that we do without the childcare support we have. So when I told my mother-in-law that I was pregnant, she basically said, I'd love to help out if I can. And I just think that was like winning the lottery because she's so helpful. And with Bonnie, had her 2 days a week, every week, arranged her holidays around term times and nursery times and when I might need to be at work, and still does that now for Dylan. Yeah, my mum has also been a massive help. I just think that, there's not really many people, even when other people offer help, they don't, like that sort of help is just another level. So that means, with Bonnie and with Dylan, I do 4 days a week, and my mother-in-law has them twice a week, and then the other days is a bit weird at the moment because Dylan had lots of health issues, so he can't start nursery until April because of waiting for like all the winter bugs to be out of the way, so he doesn't keep getting admitted to hospital. So at the moment she is doing 2 days. My mum is doing 1 day, my sister-in-law is doing another. Just incredible support over the last few months to make that work. But ultimately, the plan will be that Bonnie will do after school club on those days, and then I will pick Bonnie up and then pick Dylan up from nursery, and he'll do 2 days at nursery and 2 days with grandma, and then I don't work on the Friday. And then this is a good learning curve that I had.
Yeah.
The free childcare hours that are really confusing. You have to apply for them termly, and it's quite tricky for us because Dylan's starting in April and the tax year resets in April, and my husband's job changed, which means his salary income has changed, which means we should be eligible from April, but because we're not eligible this year, we are unable to get a tax code until September. So that means that our nursery fees are more.
Yeah.
So we don't get the free hours, but we'll be able to use a tax-free childcare account, which I'd really recommend trying to get if you can. Because every £8 that you spend, that you put in, the government will put in £2, so it gives you discount on your fees. So we'll be paying through that, but I think it's like £90 a day for the nursery, and then it's I can't even remember, maybe £20 a day for the after school club. It's until 6, so it's quite a long one with like a dinner and stuff, which is really helpful. And then endless gratitude and meals and coffees and stuff for my mother-in-law.
So it's like 90 a day, and then like even the after school club, because people think when kids go to school it's all all your costs end, but they don't really, do they?
No. And then they just go on things like extracurricular clubs and all sorts of stuff, and snacks. Children are hungry all the time.
Yeah, exactly. You just reminded me that I have to fill in my form. I was meant to hand it in this morning and forgot. But amazing, because that is like dear village, right? It's so important, and a little bit of all these kind of things really help you to be the super person and go in and get on with your job. I know a little bit about this, but I think for listeners, so do you have flexibility at VCP, and if so, how did you get that, and etc.?
To be honest, I think it worked quite well because I actually got 4 days at my last agency. So I think I should give them a little shout out because they do some really interesting things that I think that other companies should do. So to incentivize like mums to return, if you have a tax-free child account, they would pay £500 into that every month, which was amazing.
So that's that agency. Do you want to give a shout out who that is?
St. Luke's.
St. Luke's.
So they did. I don't know if they still do it. I really hope they do. But it was like based on your income, they would put up to £500 in your tax-free childcare account every month. And then that would obviously get topped off by the government, which meant that the childcare fees were kind of covered for me. A little bit more, but it was amazing. And then they basically said, like, what do you want from us to be able to return to work? And I said, ideally, like, working from home when possible, and I would like to work 4 days. And Jo had sort of said that she felt that it would work for her, and Fridays would probably be best because we could get all the meetings done, and then Friday would be like a sorting it out day, you know, like working up the ideas that we'd already agreed on or sold in. And so they agreed to that. And then when we started looking for new jobs, maybe it was like 18 months later, it wasn't because we wanted to leave, but, you know, we'd been there 7 years. It was time to move to pastures new. So we started looking for new jobs. And then that was sort of a mandate that we had, was like, Jo works 5, I work 4, I'd like to continue working 4, or like at least be open to the idea. And so a few places said, no, that's not really how we work. You need to be here all the time. And other places were really willing to consider it. And Blue were just, at VCCP, was so lovely. It was just, you know, it's working for you already and we love your ideas. So that's great. So yeah, it wasn't something that I had to negotiate. It was just sort of, that's how we work. And it works for us so far.
Yeah. But I mean, a great initiative by St. Luke's. If they don't do it, I hope other agencies do, about giving, just putting that 500 in. But just thinking that out, and asking for that when you went back is a really great thing. And Hannah, like you say, if we can get your work done, it shouldn't matter. And if you think about it, you were just talking earlier about, last night, Bonnie coming in and out, and you're thinking about a brief, like your brain doesn't turn off, ironically. Now you might be getting paid for the 4 days, but I'm actually on 24/7. Because that's creative brain. We can't just go, I don't think about this now.
Yeah.
So it should be, it's weird to think that it's a thing in some places, isn't it? But yeah, so I suppose they're the kind of practical questions I think it's good to hear, because a lot of people, some people have worked 3 days, some people work 5. Just like talking about like thriving and the creative brain, and being a mother, and this weird and wonderful job. Um, especially becoming a mother, do you think it's like affected your confidence in any way, like good or bad? Um, has it changed your confidence?
I think I think that before I would let it consume me a little bit, like the anxiety. And I definitely still get those days where I'm like, oh my God, I can't think of anything and I'm not very good, and it all spirals. But I think now I might spiral a bit at work, but then I'm like, no, I've got to turn that bit off and go. So I think that the confidence sort of comes from the fact that, like, I've got to go, I've got to make a decision, I've got to do something, because I need to get this bit done so I can do that bit in all aspects of my life. So yeah, the confidence to like make decisions and stand firm with whatever I decide on it's a big thing. Because I think before I was sort of worried, like, oh, I'd dither a bit dithery, and now now I don't have time for
No,
dither.
yeah. That's interesting. So you think it's kind of like, your confidence has gotten, like, it's improved, right? Because you feel like you have
Yeah.
to be more decisive.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I trust that I can make decisions now, whereas I guess before you could
Mm-hmm.
stay late and overthink it. But
Definitely.
also, I think I don't take it too personally anymore as well. I think it's really hard when you're a creative, your ideas are your babies, and it's really hard when you're in meetings and people are like, But
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm like, if you don't like it, that's fine. Something needs to get made. You know, it made me a bit more like, I'm less trying to people please, and I'm more, this is
Yeah.
this is our solution.
I think you kind of said something there, isn't it? Because, we do think of our ideas like babies, but when you have actual babies, they don't become like, maybe there
They're
might be
pets.
some, yeah. They're like pets now. I don't, they're like, they're your, like, your lovely pet, poor Chelsea. Well, yeah, it's fantastic to hear, because I think a lot of people have misconceptions perhaps about that. Yeah, I mean, so confidence one thing, but I want to really find out about more your creativity. Do you think it's changed in any way since you became a mother?
Yes, because I think I get more inspiration from random stuff, like Bonnie's drawn a picture and it made me think of this, or watching kids' TV shows is very interesting. And children's books, yeah, that whole thing of, when you're stuck on an idea, go and step out, go to a gallery, go outside, go for a walk. I'm seeing the world through different people's eyes. And I really love that because it's a whole new sense of wonder. And I think as a creative, you have that anyway, but it's even more childlike wonder or fascination or random references from strange kids' films and stuff like that. I think, yeah, it's a good thing because it's a new perspective. And also, when you're not in advertising for however long your mat leave is, you just see real advertising and the things that you hear people talking about at baby groups and stuff, and it's very different, and it kind of makes you approach a problem in a different way because it's like, yeah, we could do this, or we could do something that actually is going to make an impact, or the sort of the things that make noise, say on LinkedIn or wherever, versus like what makes noise to consumers.
Yeah, that's really interesting, isn't it? Because you almost have the superpower of the mat leave is you like almost like a sabbatical, isn't it? You kind of like get a little bit of perspective to stand back from the job. Yeah, that's really interesting. And you have all the inspiration from kids. We kind of get our sense of play a little bit from our children again, which is lovely. But so since you've become a mother, what is the work you're most proud that you've made?
Yeah, been very busy since
Yeah.
becoming a mother. I mean, that's 5 years of work, so that's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah, wow.
Um, when you kind of said about like, yeah, when you tell somebody what you do for a living, oh, what have you done? Like, do I know it? Will I have known anything? Will I have heard or anything? Who have you worked with? Like, being able to be like, yeah, we put David Beckham in a bed. Like, that's pretty fun because people are like, you've met David Beckham? Like, what was he like? And so that was like quite brilliant. Like, and I think I love all of them so much. Like every idea we make, and like you're there at the shoot, like making something, or like going to see like the first animatic of an animation you're making. I love just looking and being like, this is literally that thing that I said when I was like a kid. Like, this is our idea, and now it's being made, and all these people that are working on it because someone liked our idea. And I always have this little moment whenever we're on a shoot. I just kind of look out and I'm like, this is our idea. So yeah, they are. I know you said they might not be our children once we have children, but because they kind of are, I feel like I love them all. But yeah, the Beckham thing is pretty like fun to be able to name drop and say. So check it out, Temper Beckham.
Great. It was for those who don't, if anyone in Australia, I think is an APAC, it ran an APAC. So and I'm just very lucky to be part of that. I was in the joy of that with you. So rising that I'm taller than David Beckham, which was a bit disappointing. So yeah, is there anything in particular, is there a particular moment that you love in the process?
It's the making of, for
Yeah.
sure. Like, funnily enough, I was talking to a team about it today at work because they were like, "Oh yeah, we saw an edit," and I was like, "Oh, I find the edit so like, ugh," like because you've gone through all the making of, and then you're like, "Oh God, I hope this works out," and because you're staring at it so much, then I find sometimes it's hard to see for what it is because you kind of need eye bleach and brain bleach to like reset and look at it again. But
Mhm.
I mean, I love it all. I love doing the music. Jo always says that she likes the way I describe music, and we do this thing where we like to listen to the music with like a composer when we're doing composed pieces. Like we listen with the people who've made the music and talk about what we like, which ones we like and which ones we didn't, because it feels better than just typing up an email and sending it back and being like, we like this one, make it pop more, or whatever it is. Like just chatting about music in everyday life is something I enjoy. So when we get to do it for work, I love that.
Oh, yeah, it's interesting on the first edit, isn't it? Because I know the team are talking about it, and like it's really interesting to think of those moments, that you're like, oh gosh, and like, is any first edit ever good? But the shoot is quite a special moment. So, but especially on a shoot with David Beckham,
Casual.
yeah, just casually taking off his top. Um, but yeah, yeah, on that actually, just little tips and hacks, and we were talking about, the juggle, thinking in bed at night, the typing on the train, and all this kind of things. Like, is there something that you found since you become a mum that, like, oh, that's a really good way and or time for me to think of ideas or do ideas?
I do find that, like, when you're not, yeah, when I'm sat at the desk being like, think, it definitely doesn't work. So it, like, I let ideas sort of like float in and out of my brain as all the time anyway, but I don't always write them down. And sometimes I'm like, oh my God, why didn't I write that down? But actually, now I use that as a measure for whether it's a good idea or not. Because if I remember it later, I'm like, that was a good idea. Because otherwise, I'm like, nah, it obviously wasn't exciting enough. If you remember it, it's probably good.
It's yeah, that's a good one. If you remember, it's a goodie. It
It's good,
won't.
or it's really annoying. But I mean, it still works. But
Yeah, it sticks, right? So that's good. Yeah, that's
yeah,
a good one. Yeah, that's definitely a good one to remember. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, in all the midst of all these things, how do you kind, look after you and your creativity, or or yourself in the midst of all the juggle of work, your brain constantly thinking of stuff, partners, etc. What do you do for you that kind of you think looks after you?
I don't do enough, to be honest. Yeah, I feel perpetually overwhelmed. But I also try and do like little small things that make me feel like I've achieved something. And this is really silly, but I started crocheting. So now I'm like a unicorn grandma. I crochet on the train in the morning instead of scrolling on my phone, and I quite like the act of, like, doing something with my hands that feels a bit creative, but I've got something to show at the end of it, and I don't even mind, like, not keeping it for me, but, like, giving it to someone because doing stuff for other people always makes me really happy. So I made myself a pullover after Christmas, and I
Mhm.
made Bonnie a flower crown, and, yeah, I like that I'm still doing something creative. It's relaxing. I can do it while I listen to a podcast or watching TV or whatever. That's my, like, weird little act of self-care, is still making and doing, but it helps switch my brain off because all I'm doing is counting stitches as I crochet away.
Yeah, I can vouch that you're exceptional at it. Actually, I might try. I'm going to try and get a picture of your lovely jumper. You had it on the. Did
Oh,
you have it on the
yeah.
weekend? You had it on
Yesterday.
yesterday? Yeah, and I'll put it into the edit and sense of you like, here, picture of Hannah now. And I know you're been crocheting flowers and everything. You were showing me that other day. So yeah, that's like such a
Yeah.
lovely thing to have, isn't it? And yeah, just to kind of melt out and you still get to make lovely things, and they can vouch they're very lovely. Um, yeah, I suppose, is there anything you wish you knew before you became a mother, being a creative in advertising? So you wish someone had said to you, by the way, you
It's
should try.
actually something I think I've touched on it already, but I think, um, I did the "Who's Your Mama" mentor thing when I came back the first time, and Sue Higgs was my mentor, and she was sort of said lots of really useful things, but she also said about the not apologizing and kind of like trying to cut the sorries out and email like a man, I think she said, which I quite enjoyed.
Oh, did you?
Like
Yeah.
I try and remember that. Like, I just think the whole thing, like I said, that Joe mentioned, and I know that Sue kept reiterating to me, everything that we do as creative mothers is showing the next generation that it's normal and it's okay, because I think there is so few women at the top that are mothers in advertising, but we are the next generation of women at the top that are mothers, and we sort of owe it to the next generation to show them that we can make it work and we can support each other, and if we can do well doing that, then it means they will do even better, and so on and so forth. So by the time our children are growing up and in like leadership roles, it will be so much easier.
Yeah. So like, yeah, not apologizing. I think,
Yeah.
email like a man is quite funny. And yeah, but obviously Sue Higgs actually is part of the Unicorn Union group, which is great, and hopefully we'll have her on the podcast. Um, but it's kind of like see it to believe it, isn't it? Like see it
Yeah.
be it, whatever people say. Um, It's interesting because there is currently no statistic for how many creatives are mothers. So it's something the Unicorn Union should probably try and investigate. But obviously, yeah, we know all the kind of horrible stats of percentage of women in the industry, creative directors versus how many people own their agencies. But we don't actually know the statistic of mothers, which is really sad when we're making all the decisions nearly for buying things. But yeah, I suppose knowing what you know now, would you still pick this career?
Yes. I don't know why that took me so long, but I was really weighing it all up. But yeah, because like I said to you, like there's definitely days where you've been up all night, you've not had a great time at work, maybe you've not quite cracked it, or things have been stressful. You come home, your kids are screaming at you, there's laundry, everything's gone wrong. And quite often, and I know I'm not the only, not even in advertising, just like other mums, where you're like, I could do something like so much simpler, and it would be so much easier. And yeah, I've definitely thought about that. Like, but no, I wouldn't want to do those things. I would still want to do this because I think that it's just the perfect job for the way my brain works. Yeah, I'm very happy doing this, and I hope I can keep doing it for as long as possible.
Well, you are very good at it, as I know, obviously. But we all have these moments, don't we? But I suppose on that, what do you think our industry could do more for creative mothers?
I think the whole world should be a 4-day working week. It shouldn't be an anomaly for us mothers, or like for people that want to have like a side hustle, to have to bargain for a 4-day working week. Like, we've gone from 7-day working weeks to 5 days from since maybe the Victorian times, whenever it was. It's
Yeah.
time for another change, and I think that 4 days is a good work-life balance, and like the amount we can achieve and the amount we all do every day on our laptops is like infinitely more productive than it was not that long ago. And so I think, yeah, it's not just for creative mothers, it's for everyone to find that balance and to have time to be who you are outside of the 9 to 5. I think a 4-day working week is not an unreasonable thing to ask for. So,
Yeah.
and then that means I wouldn't have to take a prorated salary.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm currently a 4-day week as well, Hannah, as you know, but I think, yeah, with the efficiencies of AI, why can't we have that 5th day back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We all spend more as a, you know, we'd be out doing things
Ooh,
more.
yes.
Like, it's actually better for the economy. But what do I know? Like, but I
No,
just think it,
that is true though, yeah,
yeah.
as when you're off on a Friday, I spend more milling around with the kids, going places, snacks, or activities and stuff. Yeah. So yes, I see the cause. Let's do it. What are you most excited about in regards to, yeah, your creativity going forward? So now that you're like, it's 5 years since you first became a mom. Obviously, you're only a few months back from your second maternity leave, which is amazing. But yeah, what are you kind of excited about going forward, like creatively for your career?
Yeah, just making more and the possibilities. I know that AI seems a bit scary right now, but it's amazing how much of a different job it feels like since I left. Of even just being able to sort of work things up to be like, imagine if we could do this. It's exciting to think what we can achieve, but the ways it's made me more streamlined and efficient means ideas are coming in different ways and from different places, and I think that's quite exciting. Um, so yeah,
Awesome.
just making and doing more and learning more.
Awesome. But yeah, I just want to, is there anything else you wanted to add? Like,
Without
and
looking like I'm buttering up the presenter, I do think it's been amazing having you as an ECD, and also like when I started work, like VCCP, you put the thing on LinkedIn to say you wanted to start a unicorn group. Head of production at St Luke's, Chloe London, sent me the link to it, and I messaged you. And you were like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna start. I'm on gardening leave. I'm starting a new job at VCCP," and it just so happened that you were coming in as my boss. But I really loved that because it was like I was starting somewhere new, and so were you. And I think that it's been really nice to have that support. Like, that's been invaluable as well. Having someone who is my boss, but then I can also confide in about that you get what it's like, and our children are very similar in age, and that's really lovely. And so, yeah, shout out to you as well. Thank you so much. Thank you for making the group. I've shared it with so many people. There's Tash Ingle and Paulina Harkin and other people in the group that
It is very rare, and we're very lucky that we work in the same agency together, because I think if out of all the group, people are in different agencies. So yeah, when I did join, I was like, oh my God, yay, I know Hannah. No matter what level you're at, it's always lovely to know somebody in your department before you join. It doesn't matter what stage you're coming in at. So I you and Joe particularly were so welcoming to me, because I think you were like 2 or 3 months before me, wasn't it?
yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's been really helpful. But yeah, we are lucky that we have each other and we kind of understand the dynamic. And I do think, there's kind of there's lots of parents in every other department for people, isn't there, in different agencies. But yeah, we are the unicorns in the unicorns, that we have each other in a department. So um I hope more people would hire more creative mothers, and then we won't be the only ones with two in a department. And they'll all know each other a bit more. But thank you so much for just talking to me. It's been absolute delight hearing your story, and yeah, truly, what a fantastic unicorn you are. And I hope everyone really enjoyed listening to Hanita, the Twerkatapa Sparkle Hoof, who is fantastic. And I know, yeah, lots of things you said this evening are going to inspire people. Thank you for being so honest and sharing everything with us.
Yeah, thank you. And if anyone wants to message me and vent about motherhood, I'm here for you. So yeah.
You're going to get loads of DMs.
Help.
My mama advertises.
I hope you enjoyed listening to a conversation with a real life unicorn. Please follow us to hear more, and any shares with creatives or mothers would be truly appreciated. Credit to Simone Hendrick for our logo design, and to my two sons for their wonderful voices. Produced and edited by myself.